Good afternoon, guys. Today, the practical class, online practical class. Okay, where so this is the introductory part of it. The idea is to give you an introduction to the reflexes part, and then after that, what happens is probably we will have small snippets about the procedures, and then you can actually see that later. Okay, so that is the plan here. So now we are starting about the class, and it's about reflexes. Okay, reflexes. So reflexes, yeah, the F is bad. Okay, the reflexes. So what about reflexes? Reflexes are mostly an involuntary, and it's a response to some stimuli. So this is what a reflex technically means. Okay, so how it happens is, first there is a stimulus. Okay, maybe pain, touch, proprioception, stretch, anything could be there. Okay, all this could be a stimuli, and this stimuli will go to like a processing unit. The processing unit is usually done by synapses. The idea is that this processing is not via the cortex, and if it is only in the cortex, can you actually be aware of it and you can have voluntary control. But all this happens technically at the level of synapses below the cortex. Okay, so like that is about it. So something happens. Okay, there are even synapses that occur very near the organ, like in GIT. It doesn't even have to go to the spinal cord. So there is some processing happening via the synapses, maybe in the spinal cord, maybe in the brainstem area, pons, medulla, all those things. Okay, and then out comes a response. So there is an input stimuli, there is processing, and then there is a response. So with this kind of a response, we told stimulus is usually sensory, processing is by synapses, and output is usually motor. Okay, motor. So let's talk of an example. Okay, there are eye. Okay, this is the eye, and if somebody pokes the side of the eye, it goes to the, I'll use another color. Okay, it goes to the a synapse, and then the synapse decides, oh, it's dangerous to the eye. You have to close your eye. And how do you close your eye? How to close your eye? The sensory thing has to be processed, because sensation of the eye comes via trigeminal, and closing of the eyes is using orbicularis oculi, which is supplied by the facial nerve. So there was a lot of connections between the trigeminal nerve and the facial nerve, and out comes a response which is involuntary to, if this is eye, the eyes are going to be closed, eyes closed. So this is the stimulus. Touch is the stimulus, processing is at the trigeminal area, like in the midbrain somewhere, and then there is the closing of eye and the response. And the general way to think about response reflex is in this pathway, in this way. Like one is, first there is a stimulus which could be considered as an input. Okay, it's an input. So the stimulus is an input, maybe touch, whatever. Okay, and this is actually converted into electrical signals by a transducer. Some sense organ, maybe like the touch receptors, the pressure receptors, the proprioceptors, the stretch receptors, some organ that is converting this sensation into electrical information. So there is a stimulus, there is a transducer. Transducer is not very important here, but I just told you. Okay, and then the afferent. These are the terms that you will have to remember. While talking about reflex, we need terms so that we can talk easily. This is a part of the language. So stimulus, transducer converts the stimulus into electrical impulses, and it is taken by an afferent nerve. Okay, afferent nerve means it comes towards a processing, towards the central nervous system, like and the spinal cord or something like that, spinal cord to the brain or something. Okay, so that afferent comes there, and then there is a processing area. Okay, so there is this processing area, and this is processed, and the motor instructions are carried by the efferent. E, remember ഇറങ്ങി പോകുന്നത് പോലെ. ഓക്കെ, അഫറൻറ്റ് അകത്തോട്ട് വരുന്ന പോലെ. സോ അഫറൻറ്റ് കംസ് ടുവേർഡ്സ് യു ആൻഡ് ഇഫറൻറ്റ് ഗോസ് എവേ ഫ്രം യു. സോ ഫ്രം ദ പ്രോസസ്സിംഗ് ഏരിയ ദ ഇഫറൻറ്റ് ഗോസ് ഔട്ട്, ആൻഡ് ദെൻ ഇറ്റ് ഗോസ് ആൻഡ് അഫക്ട്സ് ദ motor system to produce a response. So the input produced an output in the end. Okay, the input is the stimulus touch, something like that, and then this transducer converted into electrical information. It travels by the afferent nerve. Most of the afferent nerves in the whole body system is actually from the goes towards the goes through spinal nerves and via the dorsal column to the spinal cord. Okay, so all sensory information goes through the dorsal root. Okay, and dorsal root ganglion doesn't process any information, remember that. Okay, the processing is actually in the spinal cord or in any central nervous system ganglia or something like that, like except for the dorsal root ganglia. Okay, so the dorsal root ganglia is technically more like a cell body, and it's not a true ganglia in the sense the cell bodies do not have a lot of synapses. It's just a cell body remaining there, and the axons are flowing towards both sides. So anyways, so there is this output, and the processing area goes towards the efferent, it goes towards the motor system, and the output is come. So this is the general trend we are going to do. You have to remember all these things in every reflexes, and I'll tell you why. Okay, now next is like the general classification. How do you classify? This classification is important, not in the clinical sense, but nevertheless it's an important thing, so that you can start discussing about things. They are quite different in the way. So classification is such that there are three methods, like deep, superficial, and like visceral. So deep tendon reflexes. Deep reflexes technically mean most of the common thing is deep tendon reflex. Beautiful example is deep tendon reflex. So the assumption is that there is a muscle, and if you take that muscle and you stretch it somehow, when you stretch this muscle, what happens is the tendons just stretch, and this stretch reflex is taken by the muscle spindle, and that will produce contraction. So that is like a stretch reflex. So deep tendon reflex technically is a stretch reflex. I think that you know all about stretch reflexes, because it's been there in the theory. So then superficial reflexes. Superficial reflexes are technically the things that when you stroke, deep reflex start from the deep tendons. Okay, but the superficial reflexes are different in the way that It starts from the skin. So most of the superficial reflex, the way to think about it is something in the skin causes the change. Okay, and mostly it is pain that stimulates all these superficial reflexes, but there are other things also. But let's discuss about the superficial reflex. For example, is like okay, a withdrawal reflex. Okay, I don't know the spelling. Withdrawal reflex. Withdrawal reflex is like a superficial reflex in which if somebody gives pain to the bottom of the hand or bottom of any of the limbs or something, the whole body withdraws, like the hand withdraws, the leg withdraws, and all these things are superficial reflexes. Even plantar reflex is a superficial reflex. Corneal reflex, we told before, is a superficial reflex because there is nothing deep. When a small area is touched in the eye, your eyes get closed. Okay, so that is the origin. Origin is the most important thing. Superficial reflexes originate superficially. Deep reflexes originate in the deep tendons, and visceral reflexes start in the viscera, like like deglutition. I guess everybody is aware of the fact of all the visceral reflexes, the baroreceptor reflex, the respiratory reflex. All these are reflexes, but it is not actually testable as much. A person with those reflexes not present usually is in a dire condition. So what we test in normal clinical settings is deglutition reflex, pharyngeal reflex, etc. etc. We'll talk about it later. What is a deglutition reflex? When you start eating, when the bolus touches the posterior pharynx, the posterior pharynx, when bolus reaches the inside, the whole system starts acting in such a way that all the pharyngeal muscles contract in such a way so that you push the bolus of the food downwards. So that is actually happening without our knowledge. We are not aware of the fact that we close our vocal cords and all these things. This happens via reflex. So these are all examples of reflexes. So that's about the examples of reflexes. And then we have to discuss about the why study all these reflexes in the clinical scenario. There are many uses as clinical. Why clinically we have to know about reflexes is that we have known that different reflexes start at different points. It has got different processing areas. It has got different motor nerves, and all these things are different. And like for example, just imagine that this is a person. This is the knee of a person. Okay, and we hit here, and we know that the knee jerk is present. Okay, and then if you check at the ankle and you hit here and see whether the stretch reflex at the ankle is present, if you see that the ankle is not present and the knee jerk is present, then what does it mean? It means that the ankle jerk, how it happens is all this travels to the spinal cord, and the center is S2. I'm not sure. S2? No. It's angle S2. S1. Yeah, like that. Okay, S2, S1. The vertebral column levels. Okay, at which part of the vertebra is it coming and giving the impulses and the electrical, the reflexes happening at that level of spinal cord. So S1, S2, this happens. And at the ankle, if it's a knee jerk, it actually travels via, and the actual thing is L2, L3, L4, like the femoral nerve. So if the knee jerk is present and the ankle jerk is absent, it means that if this is a vertebral column, the S1, S2 is here. L1 is definitely higher up. L3, S1, S2. Yeah, that's a bit weird. Okay. Anyways, L1, L2, L3, S1, S2. So the point is that the knee jerk L1, L2, L3, you are getting a knee jerk. It is coming here and it is coming out. Input, output. It is coming in and it is coming out, and you are getting the knee jerk. So what does that mean? L1, L2, L3 are okay. These areas are okay. And if you say that the ankle jerk is not okay, it means it is the nerves had to travel through here, reach S1, S2, and has to come out through this. And if that is not happening, you can assume that S1, S2 is not working. Somehow it's not working. So maybe there is a lesion in between like in this area somewhere. Okay, this could be the area that the problem is. Maybe there is a disc herniation and it stops. So we can know the level. So understanding the level of neurological lesion. So one thing is that, and the second thing is that unconscious patient. Okay, the unconscious patient. Unconscious patient, you cannot ask any questions regarding motor or sensory systems, because like, can you feel the touch? That's what we learned in the last class. Can you feel touch? Can you feel pain? All these things are being asked. If the person is unconscious, there is no way to know whether the patient can feel touch, pain, or any such thing. Even for the motor system examination, to test the power, you have to ask the patient to pull the hand like this, and you have to test the power, how powerful the person is at on. But in an unconscious patient, everything goes haywire. There is no way to know it. So how we test the sensory and the motor system, like, and the CNS, for example, like the whole central nervous system is examined via, the only way you can examine the central nervous system and the nervous system in complete is via reflexes, because this thing is involuntary. Okay, so this is the most important thing, involuntary. Okay, so this is the basic idea of the idea of sensory reflexes and things like that. Okay, and more importantly, even if the person tells I can see, I can feel and touch and all these things, it's a subjective thing. It is a subjective thing. The person has to tell, and the person, if you are testing the motor, the person will have to try to, he will have to do his work. But all these things are subjective. Sometimes the patient might not be very willing. He might have had a sad day, and a lot of things can happen. But the reflexes are an objective assessment of scenes. Okay, and PNS, peripheral nervous system. Yeah. So yeah. What is this? Okay. So that is it. So unconscious patient, objective assessment of CNS, and also one more thing is level of lesion. Okay, so these are the things that we can assume. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it looks a little. So proforma is like superficial reflexes, deep reflexes, visceral, and visceral reflexes. Okay, so superficial reflexes that we have to check for are 1,
head to toe.
Head to toe. Yeah, like yeah, head to toe, head to toe. Okay, if you think like from head to toe, we can start with eyes. So corneal,
conjunctival.
like I would tell conjunctival first because cornea is a little deeper.
Not deeper, it is precious.
Yeah, it is more precious. Conjunctival, corneal, പിന്നെ
Palatal pharyngeal, inside the mouth.
palatal reflex and pharyngeal. These are checked together because they are all generally in one go. Okay, these are checked in one go. So like these two are checked in one go, these two are checked in one go, and then abdominal reflex,
Cremasteric reflex only for males.
cremasteric reflex. Yes, people have been learning the performa very vividly before the exam, and they will come to the exam and they will write the whole performa, and then they will have a female patient and they will talk about the cremasteric reflex. Don't do that. Cremasteric, yes, there is no cremaster for females. So yeah, there is no cremaster for females. Anyways, so beware of all these things. Okay, you screen recording cut type. Okay, anyways, so deep tendon reflexes. Deep tendon reflexes to check for are one is most importantly biceps.
Jaw jerk, head to toe.
Oh, head to toe jaw jerk. Okay, we'll talk about jaw jerk first. First is jaw jerk. Yeah, I mean, let's discuss just what happens in all these things. Okay, let's discuss what happens in all these things because that is helpful. Okay, conjunctival and corneal reflex. What is happening? Somebody touches the side of the eye in the conjunctiva and the person closes. So
Not
that
with
is
a
the
pen, with a cotton.
not with the pen, with the cotton. We'll discuss the procedure later. I'm just telling you. Okay, even if you touch with the pen, you will close. So that is about it. That is not the point here, but yeah. So conjunctival reflex and corneal reflexes. Conjunctival reflex, when you touch the side, when you touch the conjunctiva, you'll close your eyes. That is the reflex. Corneal reflex means if you touch the side of the cornea, you'll close your eyes. Okay, so both like that. Okay, now the palatal reflex is that you take a small swab, open your mouth, open the subject's mouth, and touch the part in soft palate, and what you expect is a vomiting sensation. That thing will come. Arching of palate is what we expect. Technically, if possible, we'll try and show you that. When you touch the palate, if the palate is like this, and like if this is the palate, right side, left side, and things like that, and somebody touches the palate will rise up. A palate, when you touch, it will open up like this. It will just rise up like this, so that the food can go through. That it starts that reflex. Okay, so that is what we mean by palatal and pharyngeal reflex. Abdominal reflexes, when you stroke the side of the abdomen muscles contract. Cremasteric reflexes, when you stroke the inner side of the thigh, your cremasteric muscles will contract and it will raise the balls up. So yeah, so that is the cremasteric reflex. Cremasteric reflex is not usually done very commonly. Okay, understand that. Oh yeah, and the most important superficial reflex is plantar. Okay, we forgot that. Remember this plantar. Okay, so this plantar reflex is such that when you touch the base of the foot. Okay, we'll show the details. When you stroke the base of the foot will actually flex like this. Imagine that this is the foot, and you imagine that this is the foot, and you stroke like this, and then what will happen is it will close like this. Okay, so this is called a normal plantar response. So these are the reflexes. What happens, I am just telling you. Okay, so again, now deep tendon reflexes. Jaw jerk is when you hit the jaw, and then what happens is this jaw is pulled downwards. It will stretch the medial pterygoid and will close our mouth. So that is the jaw jerk. And then we have biceps jerk. Biceps jerk, you hit the bicipital tendon here, and when you hit here, there will be contraction of the muscle. Okay. So then there is supinator jerk. Okay, supinator jerk, you will think that it is coming from the supinator muscles, deep tendon reflex. No, it is actually coming from the brachioradialis. Okay, so you hit the tendon of the brachioradialis here, and you will have a contraction of the brachioradialis here. Okay, so that is what we expect. Brachioradialis is the supinator in the flex. That thing is there, right? So remember like that. Okay, there are roots and all these things. We'll talk about it later.
Triceps.
And then triceps. Triceps. Triceps, you take the this thing and hit the triceps tendon here, and it will cause extension of the it will cause the extension of the elbow and contraction of the triceps muscle here. Okay, so that is what we expect. I am telling you all this is try it when you have some friend, your parents, your brother, sister. Do this. Okay, that is the whole point here. Okay. I guess you have that knee hammer. I think you have it. So that is about triceps. That's about it. And the knee hammer. Yeah, take this knee hammer, and we can discuss the procedure and learn. You can learn the procedure from Stanford lecture series. There are a lot of videos available. We'll give our videos also, but that's for later thing. Anyways, the triceps jerk has been done, and that completes the upper limb. Okay, so then the lower limb, what are the things? Knee jerk and ankle jerk. Okay, so the knee jerk is when you take the knee and you hit the tendon here. This is the tendon of the quadriceps femoris. Okay, so this tendon will be compressed and this knee will extend like this. It is very weird to show. It will extend like this. It will extend like this. Anyways, so that is the knee jerk. And ankle jerk, similarly, you take the ankle and hit here, and it will extend like this. No, it will flex like this. Sorry. It will flex. Okay. Okay. Plantar flexion. Yeah, it's the thing. Okay. Anyways, I'll draw this how it is. Okay. So this is the angle. Oh, this is an angle. Just imagine this is the angle, and this is the calf muscle, and this is the tendon. That's
Achilles tendon.
Yeah, this is the Achilles tendon. You hit here. What happens is this gets stretched like this. When this is stretched, it will go there, and then the motor impulse will come back to the calf so that it contracts. Okay, when this contracts, what will happen? This angle will go down here like this. So if the angle was like this, okay, it is very weird to show that. I guess this is an easier thing. My drawing needs. If this is the angle like this, it will come like this, and it will be like this. Okay, this will be the new position. This is called plantar flexion. Anatomy lower limb. Okay, so this is plantar flexion. Okay, so this is what happens in
Deep tendon reflexes
generally. Okay, and visceral reflexes.
Just ask the patient the history, whether there is any problem in eating.
Yeah, you cannot ask, you cannot test for visceral reflexes that happen very deep. For a person who is swallowing, who is trying to swallow food and can't swallow, you have to ask the person. It's about, it's the history part. History part is, you can ask about nasal regurgitation. Okay.
nasal twang of voice ഒക്കെ വരും.
Nasal twang of voice. ഇതൊക്കെ പെർഫോമിലുള്ളതല്ലേ അല്ലേ? നേസൽ ടോങ് ഓഫ് വോയിസ്. പിന്നെ
റിഫ്ലക്സ് അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ. മറ്റേ ക്രേനിയൽ
ഇല്ല വേറെ
മിക്ചറേഷൻ
അല്ല കോഫിംഗ്
ബേസിക്കലി 9 and 10 cranial nervesന്റെ ആണ്.
9 and 10. Here the assumption is that if the 9 and 10, the vagus and the glossopharyngeal, tongue, pharyngeal, in the pharynx, if the muscles are not working properly, or there is any problem with the reflex or the center part like the midbrain or vagus nucleuses are there, if there is some problem there, what is happening is when you eat food, the reflexes won't happen correctly so as to push the food. The reflexes don't push the food directly into the esophagus. Instead of that, what happens is, because the reflexes are not actually functioning, when you swallow and press like this, what happens is you can only press this much, but inner pharynx, if it is not working, it doesn't arch, it does not prevent the food from coming into the nose, nasal cavity, and a lot of things. So what will happen is, when you try to swallow food, it can come through the nose, especially more in liquids. When you try to swallow liquids, it will come through the nose. So that is called nasal regurgitation. Regurgitation means coming out. Okay, so nasal regurgitation. And when we even start talking, like if you had a very bassy voice, suddenly, because your palate is not functioning normally, most of the air will go through the nose. So a person who had a very deep voice will suddenly start sounding like, hello everybody, how are you? All these things will come because it will come through the nose. So that is what is about the deglutition reflex. And so that is the nasal twang, nasal regurgitation. And then if there is any problem with the deglutition reflex, what happens is, when you swallow, it can go into your larynx, and that can cause a lot of coughing. You will start coughing, and a lot of things. So these are the things that you have to do. I guess I'll reduce it. Okay, so these are the things that you have to get it.
Defecation and micturition.
You have to ask questions about defecation.
Defecation is a reflex. Defecation reflex.
And micturition also.
Reflex.
Because defecation and micturition are also reflexes. I forget. Defecation is a reflex, micturition reflex, and it has got its centers. If you have some problem in the vertebral column at S1, S2, or things like this, where all this defecation reflex is happening, the stretch of the metarectum will produce metareflex. All these things, if that area of the vertebral column has got some problem, what is going to happen is, the patient can have different problems like constipation, incontinence. A lot of things can happen. Even micturition, same thing. The nerve supply of the urinary bladder and things like that, and the centers also. So if there is any problem with the center or anything like that, what really happens is, this micturition reflex will get affected. So you can ask for symptoms of incontinence and what else? Incontinence and difficulty in micturition or defecation. Constipation and what do you call, and urinary retention. That's the word for it. So that is it. So thank you. Procedure will be coming soon, as small snippets. Okay, thank you all.
2:30 upload.